In Texas, the police can approach anybody they see in a public place at any time they like and engage them in conversation. This is a consensual encounter. Now, in order to compel somebody to participate in this conversation, to detain them from walking away, the police officer must establish reasonable suspicion that that person is engaged in or will engage in some sort of criminal activity. Reasonable suspicion can be based on any facts that the police officer observes. These facts can be just as consistent with lawful activity as they are with unlawful activity. In fact, in the U.S. Supreme Court case that established the idea of reasonable suspicion, a gentleman known as Terry was doing nothing more than walking up and down the streets of Cleveland looking in store windows. Yet, the U.S. Supreme Court determined that these were sufficient facts to believe that Terry, along with his compatriots, were casing businesses for a later break-in. This is where the reasonable suspicion standard was adopted. In the event that the police officer develops facts that lead him to believe that somebody has committed a criminal act, this is called probable cause. And probable cause allows a police officer to actually place somebody in arrest for suspected criminal activity. If the officer establishes probable cause and arrests an individual, at that point, the person is compelled by law to produce their identification. However, prior to the establishment of probable cause, whether it's a consensual encounter or whether it is an encounter based upon reasonable suspicion where the officer has lawfully detained the individual, there is no compulsion that the person identify themselves. In Texas, only after an arrest is a person compelled by law to present their ID. Yes. Okay. All right, thank you. I'll try it. Yeah, I'll use the other lady because I was out of the office. All right, thank you.
This is just to lock down everyone that we come across with, okay?
Okay. I feel you're violating the Fourth Amendment, but...
Huh? Is that button on the 637? Somebody, there's another one where she's
good to go?
Yeah.
Sir, we're good to go. You know, you can leave the courthouse at any time. Just for right now, just don't go back in there, you know, train cool down and come back some other day. You'll be good to go. I mean, you can stay here if you want to, as long as you don't cause a disturbance.
Well, no, I'm not trying to cause any disturbance.
No,
I'm going to turn off my recorder. I need to go in. I need to get my information about my charge.
Okay.
They told me as long as I turn it off.
Okay.
Yeah.
As long as you go in there, turn it off, and don't argue with them, you're good.
No, I'm not causing any. I didn't even want to cause any problem.
We're gonna stay out here just in case. Okay?
But you know why we responded, right? The reason is something happened in there. I don't know what happened. Like I said, we showed up later. They pushed the panic button, which automatically requests law enforcement presence.
I could tell because as soon as they saw this phone, everybody was like, whoa, they acted like I had a gun or something. Okay. Yeah.
Do you have a search warrant to be on my property?
Okay. I do not, okay?
Okay, so...
But, listen to me, all right? If you can just provide this information for me, your IDs, if you live here...
I'm not providing you nothing, man. Matter of fact, get off my property right now if you don't have a search warrant.
Sir, I'm
asking you nice.
I have a quick question about Texas Penal Code 38.02.
Okay.
One of your deputies told me he was going to arrest me for failure at ID.
Okay.
If I didn't show ID.
Uh-huh.
But he had no primary charge.
Okay.
And so I just want to know what the sheriff's policy is regarding that penal code because I hadn't committed a crime. He said he was going to arrest me for failure ID if I didn't show my ID.
All right. You know what? I can't comment on it because I don't know the particulars. You'll have to go down and file a complaint in Internal Affairs, and we'll certainly take your statement, and then we'll talk to the officer and find out exactly why they stopped and asked you and made that comment, and we'll certainly look at it and make an appropriate decision on where we should go with it.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Yeah. Okay.
And I just want to let you know that in other parts of this state, the same controversy keeps coming up with other Texas police departments, and You know, I'm not looking for a fight. I'm not trying to, you know, attack police officers. I just
Sure.
want the law to be followed.
Oh, absolutely. So
Yeah.
do we. I mean, we expect our employees to follow the law.
Right.
What's your name, sir? And badge number?
My name's Lipsy, badge number 11.
Thank you, sir.
Can I see your ID, please?
Do you suspect me of committing a crime?
I didn't suspect you of anything. You're
Are you-
on our property.
are you
I want
detaining
to
me?
See your ID.
Am I not allowed to walk here? Sir, I'm not trying to cause trouble. I'm just exercising my
780
right.
Any unit. I need some backup over here, please.
Just exercising my right as an American, sir. Am I being detained? Yes or no, sir? Am I being detained or am I free to go?
$781. Are you available?
Am I being detained or am I free to go? Sir, I'd like to go about my day. Okay, I'm going to go about my day since I'm not being detained. Have a nice day, sir. Try to be polite, nice, and just exercise my rights. Have a good day, sir.
Yes, sir. Are you available? Sir, do you have an ID?
I'm just trying to take a walk. Am I being
Do
detained?
you have an ID on
Am
you?
I being detained?
You're not being detained, sir.
Thank
I'm
you.
asking you for your ID.
And I refuse. I don't have to, sir.
I'm in
Unless
the
I'm
field
being
over here,
unless I'm being accused of a
on
crime.
MCC property
You think there's
off of
about ready
Mockingbird.
to be a crime committed? Do you think there's about ready to be a crime committed? Then have a nice day, sir. I'm just trying to enjoy a nice walk. Thank you.
Excuse me, sir. I asked you politely for your ID.
And I refuse, sir. I don't have to give it to you. Texas state law. Please look it up. If you don't want me being here and this is your property, I'm walking right off the property, sir. As far as I knew, this was public property. It's not posted anywhere, no trespassing. So have a nice day, sir. I wasn't aware of anything. I'm doing anything wrong. Hello, ma'am. Am I being detained?
Are you being detained?
Yes, is there-
Pull over here. I'm going to talk with this officer and find out what's going on.
Are you the supervisor, ma'am?
I am Officer Walter. Our
What's
chief
your
of
badge
police-
number?
Our chief of police is on his way. If you will wait right here while I get the information
Am I being detained or
of why you are here. Okay, hold on just a second.
just taking a walk, ma'am?
MCC Police Department. Oh, ma'am, we've got a police officer that's over there trying to unlock a vehicle for a gentleman that works here. Thank you for calling. That's okay. Thank you for calling. Bye-bye.
Ma'am, I just don't trust police. I don't like to talk to them.
Well, I'm sorry. If you'll just hang on just a second, I've got to get some information.
If there's a reason I'm being detained, I need to know about it.
If you will give me just 1 minute, okay? If you will just hold on.
Ma'am, I've already
Just
given
1
this
minute.
gentleman a minute, and he said that I'm on the property, so I'm
got
just
here.
trying to
I
exit.
just got here. I've been here like 30 seconds, okay? Hold on just a second.
Ma'am, am I suspected of committing a crime? Do you think there's a crime about ready to be committed?
Hold on, sir. I don't.
Ma'am, that's
You'll
just
hold on
Texas
a
law.
second. If you just hold on just a second.
Sir, am I free to go?
If you'll hold on just a second. Okay, sir. I'm sorry for keeping you. You can be on your way. The officer here was just asking if you were okay, and you were walking back through the woods and everything, so you're not being detained. You're free to go. Okay. I'm
Ma'am, can
Melinda
you?
Walter.
I don't trust police, and I've
Okay.
never had a good experience with them. That's why I'm like this.
I'm sorry.
I don't like my rights being stepped on. And you, sir, cannot detain somebody and ask for ID unless you suspect a crime of being committed. Suspect me of committing a crime.
Here, people trespassing.
Like I said, there's nothing posted anywhere. I'm just trying to take a walk.
Okay. That's
Which,
fine. You're
as
free
an
to
American
go.
citizen, it's my right to do that.
You're free to go, sir. Okay? Thank
Have
you.
a great day, ma'am.
You too. Appreciate it.
Describe a little bit. What is the goal? What is it that your channel is all about that you're doing right now?
Well, I run a pro-police website, and we're also pro-accountability. My feeling is, and I haven't always felt this way, but my feeling is that the government via the police have begun to very quickly erode our personal rights. And along with that is, there are a lot of misconceptions amongst the police, some of it intentional, some of it unintentional, about exactly what laws are in place and what they mean. For instance, in Texas, our stop and ID law is very liberal. Basically, you only have to identify yourself if they arrest you for something. It's a secondary charge, and yet people are arrested for failure to ID on a regular basis. And that's, it's one of the issues. The other issue is that, police officers that do wrong aren't punished and basically get away with doing wrong. And so we seek to expose that and seek to get accountability for whatever wrong was committed.
So it really is the type of content that we would have maybe seen back in the 80s on 2020 or one of the mainstream television stations that had a budget to do actual investigative journalism and find corruptions in government, corruptions in police, or whatever. But we're not seeing much of that in mainstream media these days, are we?
It's become too much of a liability because the police unions, specifically the Fraternal Order of Police, has a massive bank account, and so they pressure the networks not to focus on that type of activity because it makes their members look bad.
Sure. And to be fair, I mean, much with as any other job, there's always some rotten apples that screw it up for everybody who's doing their job the way they're supposed to, right?
Absolutely. I one of the things you'll find on my channel, remember I said I was pro-police, you'll find the good stuff as well as the bad. Matter of fact, the good stuff turns out to be about 80% of the content that I host on my channel.
Yeah. And it may not be as fun to watch with less controversy, I'm sure, but nonetheless, you present all sides.
I try to be fair and balanced, yes.
Yeah. I think that's somebody's slogan, so let's not go there, but...
Oh, well...
But yeah, it's what I really like about it is, again, it's the idea that anybody can buy a camera or two and then really put a focus on an area they want other people to know about, whether it's police corruption, whether it's the banking system, whether it's illicit drug sales, whatever the topic is. We're not at the mercy of the old media to wait until somebody decides to get around to doing a story on it. We can actually go out there and be the journalists, be the people that ignite the fire and sometimes make change happen. And
absolutely.
Have you had instances where activities that you've done that sort of put a magnifying glass over some activities actually result in change?
Absolutely.
And give us some examples of that.
Yeah, I can give you a really good example. It just happened. I was near the Missouri City Police Department here in Texas. It's a small town just south of Houston, and had two officers stop me and demand identification. They did this because I was taking pictures near the police station. And what I was there for was they have a fallen officers memorial, and I was there to get photographs of it. And I was just getting some regular footage from around the station of, there's a fire department there and miscellaneous other stuff. So they demanded identification. I refused. That led to the point where they arrested me, took me inside the station, and continued to demand ID. And when I wouldn't identify myself, and I quoted the identification statute for Texas, which is our statute is 3802, and what it says is in order, you only have to identify yourself if you have already been lawfully arrested. And the officer, there was a sergeant involved, got a little upset, went and got the law book, pulled the law book out, read the law to me, and still didn't get it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that video actually got a lot of attention, not just locally, but worldwide off of YouTube, and they got a ton of phone calls. And so now the city just put out a notice today about they are instituting new training on photography, public photography, and new training on specifically on the stop and ID statutes here in Texas. So yes, it's making some changes there. I mean, it's a small thing, but you know, if it keeps one person from having their rights trampled and from being falsely arrested for something, you know, as trivial as, you know, having not broke the law, not wanting to give up their personal information, then it's helped.
Yeah,
then it's helped.
And you're not doing anything actually illegal. All you're doing is the same thing that, you know, any citizen can be doing by pulling out their iPhone. You just happen to have a little nicer camera for doing that than just your phone. But these are all sort of standard activities that really the police might notice if they want, but that you shouldn't have to be treated as though you're committing some sort of a crime by having a camera out.
Correct.
And you weren't, I mean, I'm assuming you weren't doing this like inside the police station on private property or some weird situation.
No, on a public sidewalk.
Yeah, and it just so happened the police was in view of the camera.
The police weren't in view of the camera. Actually, they just saw me out there and decided they would come and question me.
Also, they came out. That's even more interesting. So that somebody noticed and then told them that, hey, there's a guy that's with a camera. You should go find out who it is or something.
Yes.
Yeah. And again, I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with the police wanting to find out what's going on. It's always good to have a police presence out there, you know, just being on the street, doing nothing. They still sort of remind people that they're in the area. But in terms of then doing something which is a perfectly legal activity that you were engaged in, and then demanding identification, this is not the direction we want to be going. And I know that you know, both you and I are old enough to remember what the standards were prior to 9/11. You know, I've been in photography for about 30 years, and I certainly have shot plenty of instances. You know, I remember going to Navy bases in San Diego, or one in particular in Coronado, and then getting the getting the guys there happily to pose for me, and they were more than welcome and happy to have anything that I could take a picture of, you know, be in the picture, including the guys providing a little backdrop of some Navy activity. So yeah, a lot has changed since that time, and I think it's important for younger people to realize that, you know, the world that you grew up in is a very recent one. This is not the way that things were 20 years ago or 30 years ago, or what? Yeah, we're not quite 20 years to 9/11 yet, right? But certainly the tensions escalated, and with that came really a clamping down on what used to be perfectly normal activities that are now somehow seen as suspicious. So it's interesting that, you know, that you're able to make an impact, which is really cool. How long have you been doing this? I guess let me just go back to that. I know you said you got on YouTube for work reasons initially. How long ago did you start doing this particular thing?
Oh, about a couple years now.
Okay. And what was it that made you decide to want to be specifically looking at, you know,
accountability?
Yeah, that's a good. That's the word exactly. Accountability.
Well, what actually got me started? Remember, I said I've been doing public photography for a long time, and I had never had a problem. Well, a couple years ago, we had a small publication out of Galveston. The editor was doing a an exchange at a Walmart for somebody he sold something to on Craigslist,
Mm-hmm.
or was buying from somebody that he wanted to buy something from off of Craigslist, and ended up getting robbed. So he wanted to do a story about safe exchange zones. And a lot of police departments around here have zones that they have big signs out that say Citizen Safe Exchange Zone. And they're right in the police department parking lot, and they're monitored by camera. And sometimes police officers, if they're in the building, will stand around and kind of watch. So if you got a crazy ex that you need to hand the kids off to and you want a safe place to do it, what better place than the police station parking lot?
Yeah, I'd never thought of that. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, we call them safe exchange zones. So I was getting pictures and background footage of some of the stations for his story that he was going to do. And I had seen the YouTube videos of the guys getting harassed by the police for public photography, and I always just kind of figured that it was bull and that they had edited out the part where they were provoking the police and all of that. Well, I was getting my photos at the LaPorte, Texas police station. I was on the public sidewalk because the safe exchange zone is very close to that. And the police came out to question me, and I ended up getting arrested because I refused to identify myself because I knew the statute.
Right.
And I knew I wasn't doing anything wrong, and I wasn't on their property. So I was, they had no reason to demand identification and no authority to do it. And they arrested me for that. So that really was the catalyst that got me thrown into the middle of this, because I thought, okay, this was a fluke. It was just an odd happening, because again, I've been shooting around police stations and courthouses and never had trouble for, since the mid 80s. So I started going out and doing what we call audits, where you just go take pictures around a police station or a courthouse or whatever. And boy, did I get an education. I got my eyes opened up. Last year alone, I was arrested and charged 3 different times. And had it not been for the video, I might very well have been convicted. The video in each case showed the truth and never matched what the officers wrote in the report.
Now,
so I was arrested 3 times and detained 28 times and never broke a law.
Oh my gosh, that is a crazy statistic there.
Yeah.
I was going to ask now, aren't the officers these days, aren't they all walking around with body cams?
They are. And that's becoming more and more prevalent, which is a good thing and a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good thing because if they turn them on like they're supposed to, there's footage. The bad thing is they never want to share it. They want to keep it. And so when there's an incident that comes up and you say, show me the footage, no, we're not showing you anything. So our next big step here in Texas is to get some accountability on the, video. There's no reason, for them to secure and hold the video and not show it to us in an incident where an officer is accused of doing wrong. Now, I want to qualify that. There are some police departments, for instance, Webster PD, that are very, very open with their footage. I had an email from one of my subscribers that said he was slapped around by a Webster cop and some other stuff. And so I know a lieutenant at the Webster PD. So I went over there, got with the lieutenant. The lieutenant grabbed the chief, and we sat down and dug out the footage from the body camera and determined that it didn't happen. So there are some departments that are doing it right. However, the vast majority of them won't.
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't realize they had to turn them on and off. I assumed they were just turned on all day long.
No, the video part itself runs constantly, but they have to switch on for audio.
Oh, okay.
And when they switch on, you only get the 20, it's on a loop. It videos for 60 seconds and starts over again.
I see.
Until you switch it on, and then it keeps the 20 seconds from before it was turned on and whatever, it records at the time that it's turned on.
Okay, so it's sort of like the car cams or the dash cams out there.
Yes, they're very similar to dash cams.
Okay, yeah, I guess that makes sense. I suppose maybe it's a technology limitations. I would think it would actually be best just to have them be on all the time.
Well, they run into privacy issues. I mean, you've got police officers getting phone calls from their wives or girlfriends or kids. You've got, they're conducting personal business sometimes while they're, on patrol or whatever, just like the rest of us.
That's a whole different issue.
Yeah, well, I understand, but it's tied in. This is what I'm told, because I agree with you. I would think the cameras would roll the whole time, but you've got issues with personal things that are said or done. You've got issues with data storage, which until I started doing a lot of this videography, I had no clue what all is involved. How quickly you can eat up 1 terabyte of data storage.
Oh yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
No, it's totally true. And it was a little off topic. I've been editing 4K video for the last few weeks, and oh my God, does that take a lot of space?
Yes.
That's very, very intensive. Okay, well, getting back to this stuff a little bit, I'll tell you a quick incident that I remember post 9/11. This is probably 10 years ago, probably in the late, what do we call them, 2000s. I happened to be out at a friend's birthday party in Washington, D.C., and I had some extra time, and I brought my photo gear with me. And I shoot Canon, so it's the big weight lenses. And
I'm a Canon fan, by the way.
Yeah, good. So I decided, well, this might be fun to go shoot at the some of the monuments out there in DC. Lincoln, Jefferson, and so I quickly checked one of the model websites and see if there's anybody that's looking to get some. Because there's always models looking to get like free shots that they can use, different examples, especially models that are just kind of getting started. So it's a good way if you want to just get somebody who's not very good at it, which is usually the case, but will provide you with a human being that you can use in your photos. So I found somebody pretty quickly, and then we went down to I think it was the Jefferson Monument, and I started taking photos, and probably within 5 minutes, I had a park ranger come up and ask me for a permit. I said, "What permit? Permit for what?" He says, "Well, you're not allowed to shoot here," and I'm like, "What are you talking about? Like everyone's got their iPhone out. What do you mean?
Yeah,
it's a national monument. What do you mean you're not allowed to shoot here?" He says, "Well, I mean, you're supposed to go get a permit." And then finally, after a few minutes of conversation, I realized he was talking about commercial photography, which you are indeed required to have permits for. But the reason you're required to have permits for commercial photography is because they will block traffic for you. So if I want to shoot an ad for a perfume that happens to have the part of the Jefferson Memorial in there or monument, I can't remember which one it's called. You buy a permit, and then you pay hourly rates for police and everybody else, and you've basically got exclusive access. But I wasn't there for that. I was just there with my gear to have fun on vacation, and I happened to be shooting somebody, and she wasn't getting paid. I wasn't getting paid. There's no money transactions anywhere here. And so after arguing with me for a little while, he left in a huffy fit. And we continued on and a little further, and then a DC patrolman shows up and basically, restates the same sort of information to me, which I tell him he's wrong about. And then, of course, he asked for my identification and everything. And I said, well, it's funny because I'm here on vacation, so I didn't bring my press pass with me. And it really shouldn't make any difference anyway, because we're literally standing in a crowd of Japanese tourists who all have cameras, and some of them very nice cameras, and taking photos of exactly the same stuff. And so it finally got to a point where I said, look, if you're telling me that you have proof that I'm breaking the law in taking commercial photography with no license here, go ahead and arrest me. If that's what you think that I'm doing here. Because I know there's no proof of that, because that's not what I'm doing. So I would love to just, see how you try to justify this. And his face turned quite red. And he got on his, radio for a little bit and turned around, talked a little more, and then walked away. And it was clearly one of those instances where, I guess this was 10 years ago, so closer to 9/11. But this idea that, oh my God, you have somebody that actually isn't cooperating with a police request, because the police in this case were totally wrong. I mean, their assumption is this: you have expensive camera gear, therefore you must be a commercial photographer, and since you don't have a permit, you're clearly breaking the law. Using the quality or the price point of the equipment that somebody is using to determine whether or not they're doing something in a professional capacity is ridiculous. Obviously, would never stand up anywhere in court or otherwise. And I was the model was freaking out a little bit because she's like, "What are you, nuts? I mean, you're walking around with like $8,000 worth of stuff, and you just told the cop, go ahead and arrest me? What the hell are you thinking?" and she happened to be a JAG, so she was actually active military, but a very cute girl who was looking to get into modeling as a career. But she was a lawyer, and even for her, it was one of these situations where her natural instinct is just to do whatever the police tell you. And I think while that probably is a lot easier for police, it nonetheless turns the assumption of guilt on its head, which this country was founded on.
Correct.
So, so that's why, when I stumble on your channel and watch a few of the videos, I thought, well, this is interesting content to begin with, but it's probably more than interesting. It's actually important because it reinforces some of our basic rights that not every country has. Plenty of countries don't have this. I know in the UK, you can absolutely be arrested for taking photographs of various government installations.
Absolutely.
But we're not in the UK, we're in the US. So, we don't have to abide by non-existent laws. And that's kind of a big focus of what you're doing, is making sure that police are aware that the laws that govern photography, or the lack of restriction on photography that's in place is not overstepped on, but purely by somebody's interest in finding out, well, why are you taking photos? What are you doing here? And what are you all about? So tell us about maybe one of the more interesting positive exchanges that you've had.
Oh, man. I've about 80% of the videos on my channel are positive interactions with police. I post those because I want people to see that, there are good cops out there.
I'm not bothering you, Trooper.
No, you're not bothering me, but just don't get any closer, okay?
Is that a law you're enforcing?
Yes, sir.
Which one?
The one I'm telling you in a minute.
Oh, so you make the law? I thought they make laws in Austin. What law is that, Trooper?
Again?
What law are you referring to?
You're interfering with my investigation.
Okay, that is the controversy. Hey, yeah, you shoo away too. Now, unless you're going to enforce a law, keep your mouth shut.
Have a great day, sir.
You too, Trooper.
Listen here.
I'm sorry?
Do you mind if I mean, you don't have to answer. That's your God-given right not to answer, but...
Constitutional right.
Well, the Constitution was inspired by God, wasn't it?
Well, I got to agree with you there.
Because in the Constitution, doesn't it say that our rights are bestowed upon us by our Creator, our inalienable rights?
You're my type of guy.
So, I'm just curious, because you got me curious, because this has never happened to me on an inspection or a traffic stop before.
Okay.
So I've had people videotape me, but not to the extent that you are.
All right.
So I'm just curious. Like, what's up? Like, is something bothering you?
Well, I'd like to start with, I'm not anti-police, which a lot of people try to label me as.
I'm not even saying anything like that, because you haven't tried to do anything. You just wanted to videotape, so, and it just made me curious.
Believe it or not, some police officers.
I'm Hutch.
Oh, Andre.
Andre? Nice to meet you, Andre.
Yep.
This is George.
Yes, I met Trooper
Cano.
Caldun.
Cano.
Oh, Cano. I'm sorry, sir.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Hey, George.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice to meet you, George.
Is easier. Well, we're just curious, man, because I mean, you're obviously not threatening us in any way.
Of course.
Right? So,
I'm not man enough to do that to two state troopers, no.
But so we were just curious. Like,
Right.
What's up?
Did you holler at me?
Yes, sir.
What can I do for you?
Yeah, just hold on. I'm trying to, trying to make some calls, see if, so, this is a situation that I don't run across, I'm trying to figure some things out. So if you don't mind, just please
What's your name?
by.
What's your name?
George.
George?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
What situation are you trying to figure out?
You're filming, sir, and I'm trying to figure out if it's okay because, yes, we're filming, but you're on public road. So I'm trying to figure out. Hello? And even though he was on some public road, business filming the airport. They go through. So, okay, World House? Yes. No, Main Street Railroad. Main Street Railroad, yes. I have, yes, we're standing on public road south. Yeah, I need some answers.
So what are we doing, George?
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your patience and your cooperation. What we got going on right now, we're having Port Police. Port Police they should be coming real soon.
Okay.
And so we can get this settled,
What are we trying to settle?
Well, sir, you're filming, and even though you're not on port property, but you're not, well, just wait for Port Police. They have more knowledge, and they're gonna offer you better answers than I.
Okay, so what do you think I've done wrong? What do you think I've done wrong?
The filming part.
Uh-huh. Okay. You think that filming out in public is a crime?
No. See, that's what I told dispatch.
Yeah.
That's what I told dispatch. That we're on public road. See, I'm trying.
Yeah. Did you see me on private property at any time?
No.
Okay.
No, I did not.
Okay. I just make sure.
Southeast Street of public road.
George, if they're asking you for an address, tell them you're at 500 South Main. That's your address.
Just 10 years ago, right? YouTube, that website is a part, it's a lifestyle. It's a part of people's lifestyle.
Sure. I look at YouTube every day.
So it makes you wonder, what were you doing in 2004 or whatever, or before then?
Before smartphones even.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember. Here we go, George.
It's gonna be okay.
Oh, I know it's gonna be okay.
It's gonna be okay.
I'm not breaking any law, so.
No, it's gonna be all right.
How's it going? What we got?
I'm sorry, I don't answer questions.
Okay.
Hey, let's go up with that camera. Give him the real cost. Who you work for, sir?
I'm sorry, I don't answer questions.
You don't answer questions. You got some ID?
Yes, sir. Have I broken the law? Have I done something wrong?
Do you? Yeah. Was he on poor property? Oh, where was it?
I'd say.
I need to see some ID, sir.
I'm sorry, what's your name? You're not going to identify yourself, sir?
279126.
Would you call a supervisor? Yes, sir. Have I done something wrong?
No, you haven't done anything wrong.
I was on public property at all times. I never entered any private property.
Okay.
All I did was take pictures out in public. I'll tell you what I'm doing.
Okay.
If that'll help you out.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just documenting what public officials do on public property. Just gathering information that is of interest to the public. That is it.
Okay. I still need to see your ID.
If I haven't broken any law, are you state or federal? You guys are port police. What is that?
Yeah, port police. This is port property. All this is port property.
Well,
can I see your ID?
I believe this is private. Is public property.
No, that's where you were was port property.
Well, yes, sir. You have to cross. It's going to be public access because you have to cross the railroad tracks to get onto that side.
Are you going to give me your ID? Yes or no?
Could we get a supervisor?
Yeah, I got one coming.
Okay.
Yeah, I got a supervisor on the way.
Okay. So far as I know, I haven't broken any laws.
I never said you broken the law.
Okay, then.
Never said that.
Then I don't think I'm required to provide identification.
I'm sorry?
I said I don't think I'm required to provide identification if I haven't broken any law.
Well, when the police ask you for your identification, seeing as though you're on port property, you're not breaking any law. I just need to know who I'm talking to.
Okay, well, again, this
just like you can see who I am. I have on all this information that shows who I am. I'm asking you the same thing. But we can wait till supervisors get here. Okay. No problem.
And what was your name? I didn't get your name. It's kind of worrisome to the public when public officials won't identify themselves. Can I get your name and badge number? Looking for my car. Good, and you are H. Castle?
That's correct. I'm Officer Castle, the Port Authority. How you doing?
I've got a complaint, actually.
Okay.
I can't get either of these officers to identify themselves, and that is a problem when public officials won't identify themselves.
I'm talking, okay?
All right, am I detained?
Okay. You're being detained right now, yes.
Okay.
Okay, for a call that we have, and we're trying to identify who you are, is what I heard over the radio. We have a Sergeant McCary on his way.
Okay.
Okay? Now, you know by law, you have to identify yourself. Do you understand that?
Are you state police or federal police?
I'm state police.
Okay.
I work for the state of Texas. My license is the state of Texas.
Yeah, you're T-close certified. I got you. Okay.
Okay. So, by law, you have to identify yourself. You understand that? So, what's your name?
Well, here comes the sergeant. Let me talk to him.
Okay.
See if we can get this worked out.
I'm going to ask one more time. What's your name?
I don't think I've committed any crime.
Okay. You have if I ask you for your name and you're not giving it to me, correct? Yes.
Okay.
Well,
I'm waiting on the sergeant to get here. I'm going to let him deal with that.
You're smart.
I know.
You're smart. I mean, if you tell me what law I've broken, I'll identify myself. But to the best of my knowledge, I haven't broken any law. Is that the sergeant over there? They just pulled up.
No, I can't. Yeah, that's him.
Okay. Because I'm not refusing to identify myself. I'm just saying if I haven't broken any law, I don't think I have a need to.
Yeah, you still have to. I was trying to tell you that earlier, but maybe he can tell it to you in a manner, you know.
Okay. And I'll talk to him, and I'm sure we can figure this out.
Yeah.
And if you're telling me I'm on private property and you want me to leave, I'll leave. I'm not worried about that. I don't think this is private property. It looks like public access to me. What's your sergeant's name? I can't read it from here.
He'll be up here and identified.
All right. Sergeant McCary, how are you?
Pretty good. How are you doing?
Oh, I was doing better before all this started. I mean, all this because I took pictures of a train. Seems kind of silly.
Now, what's your, you mind putting that down so we can...
Well, I'm the only person here. I don't see any body cameras or anything, so I think I'll keep it running just for my safety, if that's all right with you.
Okay. What's your name?
Am I required to give that information? Have I committed a crime?
We're trying to just get your identification so we know what to call you.
I understand you can call me good citizen.
Okay.
I mean, if you tell me I've committed a crime and I'm required, I mean, the 3802 says I only have to identify myself if I've been lawfully arrested.
Okay, just stand right there for a second, okay?
Okay. So I am detained?
Hey!
All right, everybody be on standby. It looks like they're fixing to cuff me up. What's the big deal about taking pictures of a train? I don't understand.
Well, the big deal is whether it's on port property, you can't do that. You can't videotape.
Okay, but
Infrastructure.
and you think this is for property?
No, this is not for property.
Okay.
This is a public street. Okay. Right here where we're standing on.
Okay. Well, good. So we're clear that I was on the public street at all times. That's what I was concerned about.
Yeah, you're getting on the borderline, and of the Port Authority property, they don't allow video unless you get it pre-approved.
Okay.
So just don't go down to Port Authority property, but you're free to go and do your video, whatever you want to do. But this is Port Authority property going that way.
Okay.
So
where exactly? I mean, because I see public utilities and public buildings down there.
just beyond that, when the big parking lot by the grain elevator, that's all becomes Port Authority property.
Okay.
So, and that's getting close to a restricted area. You can't go beyond that.
Okay.
And you definitely can't video unless it's pre-approved.
Got it.
But you're free to go.
Okay. And what was your name?
Mine?
Yes, I didn't get your name. Officer Townsend. Thank you. I appreciate your professionalism. Okay.
You're welcome.
Hey, I deal with police from time to time, and sometimes they're not so professional.
Right.
So.
Well, I've been in the business a long time.
Have you? How long you been a police officer?
Don't even want to discuss that.
I'll turn the camera off if it make you happy.
Long enough to have gray hair and coming out. That's how long.
Okay. All right. You guys have a safe afternoon.
Be careful.
And Galena Park even came out. Where were you when I was taking pictures in front of the police station?
Probably wasn't on duty yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Because nobody bothered me, but let me come down here and take pictures of a train and I get hemmed up. What the hell?
How's it going, sir?
You too.
Now, do you have a search warrant to be on my property?
Okay. I do not, okay?
Okay, so...
But, listen to me, all right? If you can just provide this information for me, your IDs, if you live here...
I'm not providing you nothing, man. Matter of fact, get off my property right now if you don't have a search warrant.
Sir, I'm
asking you nice.
I have a quick question about Texas Penal Code 38.02.
Okay.
One of your deputies told me he was going to arrest me for failure at ID.
Okay.
If I didn't show ID.
Uh-huh.
But he had no primary charge.
Okay.
And so I just want to know what the sheriff's policy is regarding that penal code, because I hadn't committed a crime. He said he was going to arrest me for failure ID if I didn't show my ID.
All right. You know what? I can't comment on it because I don't know the particulars. You'll have to go down and file a complaint in Internal Affairs, and we'll certainly take your statement, and then we'll talk to the officer and find out exactly why they stopped and asked you and made that comment, and we'll certainly look at it and make an appropriate decision on where we should go with it.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Yeah. Okay.
And I just want to let you know that in other parts of this state, the same controversy keeps coming up with other Texas police departments. And, I'm not looking for a fight. I'm not trying to, attack police officers. I just want the law to be followed.
Oh, absolutely. So do we. I mean, we expect our employees to follow the law.
Right.
Sergeant Brown?
Well, and they are, as long as he's not on
Why are we exercising our First Amendment rights here?
Why?
Yes, sir. We have the whole country,
Why
but
not?
why here?
Why not?
Okay, I understand why not. I'm asking why here.
Oh, I'm asking why not? Well, this is a better place than any.
Let me go ahead and you guys have the right. That's right. First Amendment right. Let me go ahead and get the IDs on both of you.
Oh, well, that's not going to happen. Unless I'm breaking the law or something like that.
Well, sir, we're gonna ID you today. Yes, sir. We're gonna ID you. We're gonna telling us that you're gonna do it your way, sir. That's not the way law enforcement works. You're refusing to give me your identification. Is that correct? Under arrest. Go ahead, sir. Put your hands on the car.
What? They're coming up with their story now.
How are we suspicious by walking out?
Yes. Total harassment.
For real. I mean, the man was sitting on his porch. He's not harassing anybody.
My neck. Hey, listen. This is why I make these videos right here. It is your right to be able to film public workers.
Hey, Banks on the track.
Sandy speaks. Sandy is speaking, and again, I do apologize. And if I'm looking a little crazy, this is because this is a test. It's time, y'all. It's time. It's this thing that I'm holding in my hand, this telephone, this camera. It is quite powerful. Social media is powerful. We can do something with this. If we want to change, we can really, truly make it happen. You know, we sit out here and talk about, oh, we need the next so-and-so and this and that. No, you don't. No, you don't. Start in your own home. Start with you.
Well, he just came into my yard. He violated my rights, trespassing. Yes.
I guess he's gonna go next door to the neighbor too because he was sitting on the porch. Does he look suspicious?
Shoemaker, can Yes. This total harassment right here, guys.
It really is.
This total harassment right now. See, I'm beginning to feel afraid for my life now.
So look,
you hear me?
He had to pass by. Remember I said, look,
Yeah,
he passed by and then
he seen us walking and turned around right there, turned around and came back. This total harassment, guys. I'm believing in my heart that they out to get me. You hear me?
They really are.
And now I'm thinking, should I just sit back and wait on them to come and get me, or should I start defending myself from these pirates right here? You hear me?
And file the right
Yeah.
paperwork because this
Get back in the yard. Yeah. Yes. Yes, total harassment right here. You hear me? And then I don't know what they talking about over there. You know what I'm saying? Total harassment, man. That officer right there, the Hispanic one, told me I look suspicious. Being a black guy in my yard, he told me I look suspicious. You hear me? Yes. Got him caught up in his words. He said it himself. He said it himself. Yes, I need to know who you are. I need to know who you is. I'm filing a complaint on you. Shoemaker, what's going on, brother? Shoemaker, what's going on, brother?
Take time, second.
Hello, hello to the world. I want to thank everyone for their kind, wonderful words. I know ever since I posted that video about the police officers and that video went viral, I just want the world to know if anything happened to me, it was them.
Huh?
And what about detained?
What am I being detained for?
You were detained because you were suspicious activity.
No. What penal code? You got to name a penal code that I've committed. That is the crime. Name a crime that I committed. You hear me? Name a crime that I committed other than being black and walking down this driveway.
You were detained for suspicious behavior.
walking out.
Hey, Shoemaker, Shoemaker, don't do that, brother. Don't do that. Hey, listen.
Why do you think he's here?
Cause I'm black and he wanted to, you guys got it out for me and wanted to see what was going on. That's what I think. I've done nothing wrong, Shoemaker. You know what I'm saying? Me and you never had no words or nothing. I see you pass by, nothing. But what you're doing right now is you're upholding something unlawful and illegal. If you don't know your job, do not continue to, because you're gonna be on the next video. And what I'm telling you is 38.02. Baby, come here. Can I Google and show you guys?
Go ahead and Google.
Okay, I'm finna show you guys, because you're dealing with the wrong one. That's why you guys mad at me, because you won't be able to handle me like you handle the other ones, because I'm on top of my game. I know you see the gold teeth, the tattoos, and immediately think I'm another plain, normal, regular black guy. No, player, wrong one. But let me educate you guys today. You hear me? Because that shit don't, y'all time of running things, it has came to a closure, bro. Let me show you. 38.02. Okay, Texas Penal Code 38.02. Let me read it to you so you can be educated.
he don't even know my name and tell him I have a warrant?
What did he do?
That's what I'm saying.
For what?
For what?
From Louisiana.
For what?
For what? Yeah.
I don't even live in Louisiana, so how would I have a... You don't know my name, so how can you tell me I have a warrant in Louisiana?
Sir, stop. Clarence, hold on.
Okay, but you know
Sir.
You just pulled up in front of my house and then I don't trust because you shaking like you scared or something.
Okay.
I don't trust you. You shaking like you scared.
He don't live in Louisiana.
I don't even live in Louisiana. How the hell would I have a warrant in Louisiana?
Quentin, you already said your name was that.
My name is not Quentin. What the is wrong with you?
Sir, his name is not Quentin.
Then
let's see the ID and we'll be done.
Okay,
hold on.
Just get different names. You woke up and told me 3 different names.
Hold on.
The third name you just... No.
Clint.
No, I'm not gonna be the next you feel?
No.
No.
Stop. His name is not Quentin.
Quentin.
Let's do this and be done. I got no probable cause.
You just stopped in front of my fucking house.
Yes, I know who you are.
It's you don't. What's my name? Man, that. You shaking like you scared. I'm not gonna let you put me in handcuffs.
Please stop. Please stop.
My name is not no fucking Quentin. You don't even know my name and tell me I got a warrant in Louisiana?
Okay. Yes.
Do I look like a... Show me the picture. Show me the picture.
Okay, wait.
Just walk with me.
No, walk with me.
No.
Please, he's not going nowhere. He's not going nowhere.
I need your supervisor or somebody else.
I am the supervisor. Come on.
Well, let me see your stripes. Well, I need to know. I need somebody over here. No, you're not going to get me to your car. No.
Sir.
With my yard on my property.
Calm down.
Stop. You stop.
Who are you looking for?
That's
His
what I'm
name
saying.
is not Quentin.
Quentin. You think I'm look because I got dreads or something? No. You just pulled up in front of my fucking house and told me I got a warrant in Louisiana. So what? That's my fucking dog.
That's our dog.
That's
our dog. Go in the house.
Look, man.
Sir, that's our dog.
Don't you touching me while you shaking. You need to step back and calm down. No, that.
Get my phone out of the car.
There you got him running.
Get my phone out. Calm down. Here's the deal. Doesn't that look a lot like
No, that don't look like
That's
me.
not him.
What's wrong with you, man? What you trying to say? Because I got dreads and I'm black, that's me?
No. That's not him.
You fucking she can see that's not me from over there.
No,
Stop. You got no problem? My name? You ain't got no You ain't.
No, please stop.
Two of y'all is gonna take over.
Please stop. Please leave him alone, please. No, please. That is not him. Please leave him alone.
Get out my yard, man.
I need to report on this.
No, you need to get the fuck out of my yard. You just said I'm somebody named Quentin. You got dreads and he black?
Come on.
What the is that?
Okay, come on.
Nah, what's that? Okay. Now you want to leave, right?
No, I want to do a report on this.
No, you need to get somebody here that's over you because you just made the biggest mistake.
Why?
How the you pull in front of my yard because I'm black with dreads and tell me I got a warrant?
Okay.
You
racist. My kids was out here.
No, one of my fucking kids.
Okay.
What, you need to get this over here.
But he didn't answer his name.
Let me see.
The Fourth Amendment to the Constitution says that persons should be free from unreasonable searches and seizures. So, when you're thinking about the Fourth Amendment, based on what I just said, there are 3 questions that should immediately pop to mind. 1, what is a search? 2, what is a seizure? And 3, what constitutes unreasonable? That's our Fourth Amendment, and those are the questions that are inherent in any interpretation of the Fourth Amendment. The Fourth Amendment is vitally important to our democratic tradition because it protects the central pillar of our democracy, and that is liberty. We are a free and open society. We lionize the notion of liberty in America. And the Fourth Amendment is the amendment to the Constitution that protects that freedom.
In essence, the Fourth Amendment prohibits the government from conducting unreasonable searches and seizures, especially without a warrant. This grew directly out of the experience of the American colonists who were subject to all sorts of searches and seizures of their private goods. primarily by British customs officials who were looking for contraband or were looking for goods that had been smuggled in without payment of the appropriate duty or tax. These officials were armed with something called writs of assistance, which commanded everybody nearby to help them, and as you might guess, they were not very popular with the people who were being searched. Writs of assistance, which the British customs officials used, were sometimes more generically described as general warrants. So they were a piece of paper. They came from the government, not always from a judge, but somebody in the government. And they would simply say, this person is empowered to search for whatever he wants to search for, wherever he wants to search for. In other words, very general. And when you give some government official that much discretion, that much leeway, well, guess what? If you're a hammer, the whole world looks like a nail, right? Well, to them, the whole world looked like some place to be searched. And so these people would just start snooping around on a whim, wherever they wished, and that was what the colonists found the most objectionable. They insisted that if the government is going to issue a warrant, it should be for a specific item or items, specifically described, in a specific place, with specific limitations as to the time that this sort of thing can happen. And the whole idea here was that, yes, the government does have the power to search in appropriate circumstances when there's probable cause to believe that a crime's been committed or might be committed, but it doesn't have, or it shouldn't have, the power simply to snoop around at whim.
Probable cause, which is a standard of belief. It's what do you know about this person that makes it appropriate for you to deprive them of their liberty, typically because you have information that leads you to believe that this person committed a crime. So probable cause is a relatively uninformative two-word phrase, but police officers have to educate themselves about what the courts in their jurisdiction say might lead to probable cause. So there are a lot of circumstances that police officers learn they can take into account. For example, the kind of area in which they see certain behavior. If they know that this is an area where a lot of drug trafficking takes place, they can take that into account in deciding whether some equivocal kind of behavior is sufficiently correlated with drug dealing so that it rises to the level of probable cause. They can take into account the prior contacts they or other police officers have had with the people with whom they are dealing. They can take into account what police officers know that perhaps ordinary citizens don't know about the way that certain crimes are committed.
One of the most difficult judgments that a law enforcement officer has to make is when they can conduct a search or a stop without having a warrant. There are many situations in which law enforcement is allowed to make a search without a warrant if they observe something that gives them reason to believe that something illegal is going on, and there's no time to get a warrant because the person's in an automobile or out on the street where they can leave the area right away. And so the constraints of the Fourth Amendment are something that always have to be in the back of the officer's mind. But the officers also have to be concerned with effective law enforcement and reducing the danger to the community. The other thing is that the Fourth Amendment is a big source of litigation against police officers. If the police come to your home and search your home and you don't believe they had probable cause, or you believe they went beyond the scope of whatever warrant they might have had, or if they came in without a warrant when they should have had a warrant, that's a very common situation that leads to a lawsuit by the subjects of the search against the police. So the police have to really be able to use their own judgment on whether a warrant is proper or whether a warrant is needed. The Supreme Court has said that the police cannot just say, well, since I had a warrant, you can't sue me. That's not enough. If it's a defective warrant, if the warrant was procured without probable cause, if the officers go beyond the scope of the warrant, the officers themselves might be sued over violations of the Fourth Amendment. And this becomes a very difficult situation because officers often have to make quick judgments on whether they have enough reason to suspect someone, whether there are exigent circumstances justifying them going without a warrant.
To make sure the new laws were enforced, Britain sent a fleet of ships carrying 2 regiments of troops to occupy Boston. The government provided its troops with special documents called writs of assistance, authorizing them to carry out searches to find tax cheaters. Of course, the government's actions just made the Americans even madder. So, once again, the colonies exerted economic pressure on the British by boycotting their goods. The boycott was mostly successful because by 1770, all the Townshend duties on imported goods, except the one on tea, had been revoked. In March of that year, 5 colonists died in Boston when an unruly crowd protesting against taxation was fired upon by frightened British troops. Immediately, the Boston Massacre, as they called it, was used by American patriots to fan the flames of revolution. Starting in 1772, patriots from across the far-flung colonies began to organize committees of correspondence to increase communication between them. Through their letters, the committees of correspondence were able to share new ideas about government, law, and how to deal with threats to American liberty. And they played an important role in uniting the colonies as they moved ever closer to revolution.
Following the hated Stamp Act of 1765, where the British government demanded that every piece of paper have a stamp on it from the king, the British committed the Boston Massacre in 1770. They fired into a crowd, killing 5. Why? Well, the British were putting their troops in your house and coming up and saying, you have to live in the attic, basement, or the garage, and we're going to eat your food and live here. Well, people didn't like that, and so they got a crowd together and protested, and the British fired into the crowd, killing 5. One of the people they killed was Crispus Attucks, the first African-American patriot that died in the war. In the year 1773, James Warren proposed that Sam Adams form a committee of correspondence. And this was a group that would write letters and then distribute these letters across America. The committees of correspondence would be in each town, and they would pass along news to inform the rest of the nation of injustices being committed in Boston. And in there, James Warren writes, the rights of the colonists and of this particular province in particular, as men and as Christians and as subjects, to communicate and publish the same to the several towns in this province and to the world as the sense of this town. So in other words, we got atrocities going on here. We want to let the rest of the world know about it.
Now, do you have a search warrant to be on my property?
Okay. I do not, okay?
Okay, so...
But, listen to me, all right? If you can just provide this information for me, your IDs, if you live here...
I'm not providing you nothing, man. Matter of fact, get off my property right now if you don't have a search warrant.
Sir, I'm asking you nice.